But now the Biden administration is trying to make it illegal to even question the results or the outcome of an election. If you question the rigged election, you're a conspiracy theorist. They don't want to talk about it because they cheated like nobody's ever cheated.
How is he going to do it? How is Donald Trump not going to be held in contempt of court? He has been posting offensive messages about Fani Willis and Jack Smith online on his Truth Social platform. He was ordered not to intimidate any of his 16 co-defendants or any witnesses, including through posts on social media, and not to contact any co-defendant or witness except through their attorneys. Meanwhile, he is walking around with Walt Nauta all the time, like they are in a bromance. The quote is, "The defendant shall perform no act to intimidate any person known to him or her to be a co-defendant or witness in this case, or otherwise to obstruct the administration of justice," the order states. I mean, just think about who Donald Trump is for a moment. Just think about how he needs to vent, how the feedback that he gets through social media is the dopamine that he does not naturally possess. Just think for a moment about his malignant narcissism and how every time he gets on stage at a rally, he goes through the same routine, using the same language, abusing anybody who does not see eye to eye with him in an aggressive and outrageous way.
But only a party that cheats in elections would try to make it illegal to question them. They don't want them questioned. You look at Georgia, look at all of the things. In fact, I think on Monday or Tuesday, they're having a meeting, a very big group, very smart group. They're having a meeting to show that they found a lot of election fraud. If you can't challenge a rigged election, then you don't have free speech. And if you don't have free speech, you don't have a democracy anymore. You have tyranny. You have tyranny. And we've got to get smart and we've got to get tough.
There is absolutely no way that Donald Trump will not perjure himself and will not be in contempt. And if he is in contempt, and if he does not follow the requirements set down by Fani Willis in this case, then he will be duly arrested and held potentially in Fulton County Jail. He joked about fleeing Russia after his bond was set at $200,000 in the Georgia case over his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. And in a Truth Social post on Tuesday, he wrote that the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, who is overseeing the case, insisted on setting a bond. He wrote, "I assume, therefore, that she thought I was a flight risk. I'd fly far away, maybe to Russia, share a gold-domed suite with Vladimir, never to be seen or heard from again," he said, referring to Vladimir Putin. "Would I be able to take my very understated airplane with gold Trump affixed for all to see? Probably not. I'd be much better off flying commercial. I'm sure nobody would recognize me." Look, Donald Trump always says the quiet parts out loud. And whilst he might be joking about not going to Russia, there's a very serious case to present here that actually he is a flight risk, and that actually if anybody wants to welcome him and give him immunity, it would be Vladimir Putin. Trump is set to turn himself in to authorities on Thursday in Fulton County. He's facing 13 charges, including racketeering, conspiracy to commit forgery, and solicitation of a public officer to violate their oath. He's maintained his innocence, but at the same time, he still criticizes anybody, whether it be Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, Fani Willis. He is accused of being out to get him. You know, she has previously campaigned on dealing with Donald Trump's crimes, and he claims, his argument is that it can't be a legitimate case because she has talked about going after him even when she was electioneering. But, you know, if that's not a good reason to electioneer, I don't know what is. Donald Trump has been committing crimes throughout his presidency and obviously prior to his presidency, and everybody with half a brain cell knows that this guy is a bad egg. And whether it be financial crimes at the Trump Organization, or whether it be the billions of dollars that he was able to manipulate whilst he was president, whether it be people staying at his hotels or his golf clubs or his outrageous self-promotion of his Trump-branded businesses. Fani Willis knew full well who Donald Trump was long before this indictment was presented, and so did we. And so his argument that she was just on some kind of mission to get him doesn't hold water because, he, in his kind of narcissistic bubble, thinks that he has never done any wrong. It's almost as if committing crimes is normal to him, and he just presumes that everybody does that. And, in a way, I kind of feel like this is why his support is growing. And even with 4 indictments now, poll after poll says that Republican voters back Donald Trump. And if you have to ask yourself, with a moral compass and a level head, you have to say, well, why would people want to support a known criminal? And I think about this all the time. And it's become clearer to me now that it means that if he's doing it, they can do it. If he's racist, they can be racist. If he is abusive to women and talk in a vile language about women, so can they. And there is this kind of idea that the commander-in-chief, whether past or future, is a deplorable, then it gives them license to be deplorable. And isn't this the reason why Donald Trump is such a huge success in the US? And to deny his success would be foolish. He has spawned a movement of 70 million voters. He has successfully marketed to them. He has successfully financially extracted from them. They will continue to pay him. And even if he ends up in a federal prison or a county jail, they will give him more money, not less money. And I think it's foolish to think that he is stupid or terrible at this whole kind of business thing, because look at what he's done by using lies and manipulation and brainwashing and undue influence and all of these skills that he clearly possesses. Despite the fact people call him stupid, he's not stupid. I mean, all of these things are pure evil, and all of these things are fascistic, and all of these things are completely inappropriate. But he does not have a moral compass. He is not somebody that thinks about anything other than himself. And so, in his mind, he is a success. In his mind, he is popular. And he cannot understand why anybody would want to bring him down. To him, the perfect phone call was perfect. I don't think he does this as a distraction. I don't think this is kind of a marketing phrase, perfect phone call, just to make people eventually think it was perfect. Nobody thinks it was perfect. I mean, anybody who's listened to that recording of him asking Brad Raffensperger for more votes can hear that this is someone trying to overturn an election after the election. But he doesn't see it like that. So you have to ask why. And you have to ask, does he really buy this stuff? Does he believe what he's saying? And I think, yeah, he does. I think he knows he lost. And this is going to really form that kind of pinnacle of these crimes that Fani Willis will have to prove. Did he truly know that he lost? And the answer is obviously yes. Because if he didn't know he'd lost, he wouldn't have gone on the perfect phone call to ask for one more vote than they already had. And this is the point. In order to bring about a coup, in order to have the Save America rally and to stand up there and tell everyone to go to the Capitol, and I'm going to go with you, and we're going to take our country back. In order to do that, you have to know you've lost. And this is my point. If he'd have won, none of that would have happened. And so his argument of free speech and his argument about the fact that, well, he was surrounded by people that told him that he'd won, and why was the media saying he'd lost when he knew that he'd won? None of it is true. He knew, and he still knows. But the thing is, he is making money, and he needs the money to pay lawyers. And so now he's on the run. He's effectively an escaped convict. The guy is on the run, and the only way he is going to keep running is by keep doing the rallies, to keep perjuring himself and using contemptuous language. And so A little bit like other politicians in history, he'll end up going to prison not for the crime, but for associated events, for things that he did or said, or the cover-up in this case. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me every day on the 5 Minute News podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting MAGA Uncovered, and on Sundays on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.